What's going on, everybody? GemMint here with today's new comic book day reviews. It's Wednesday, January 12th, and as always, going to go through this week's books as spoiler-free as possible. I promise, I try not to spoil them. I just try to give you a little something to let you know I actually read the books. Before I jump into these reviews, it's Wednesday, so it's Whatnot Wednesday. I'm going to have a live auction today at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and it's our 2,000 follower giveaway on Whatnot. I'm giving away the XM Studios 1/6 scale Mera statue at the end of the live show. Plus, I got some awesome goodies to auction off as well. So make sure to come through. If you haven't yet, download Whatnot and follow me. The link is in the description. All right, so let's jump into it. From Marvel, we have Dark Ages, issue number 4. This is by Tom Taylor, Iban Coelho, and Brian Reber. I've really been liking the whole Dark Ages storyline so far, but I felt like nothing really happened in this issue. It was kind of just like setting up to go to war, the good guys versus Apocalypse and the bad guys. Nothing really much, some cool stuff with Storm and Black Panther, but kind of a slow issue for me. Next up, we have Daredevil, The Woman of Fear, issue 1 by Chip Zdarsky, De La Torre, and Blee. If you were upset that Daredevil has ended, have no fear. We got Devil's Reign, and we got this new Daredevil book. But you know what? I really dug this one, man. I felt like Chip really wrote the hell out of Elektra in this issue. You really felt her perspective when it comes to her upbringing and being trained as an assassin and as a murderer, her relationship like romantically with Daredevil. I thought it was super interesting and pretty deep the way that it was written. So I'm glad that we still have this Daredevil universe that we can read ongoing because Chip has done an awesome job with the character. Next up, this is a Death of Doctor Strange tie-in. This is Bloodstone, issue 1, Teenie Howard, Guara, and Lima. They've been having these little one-shot tie-ins. I couldn't really get into this one, man. I mean, I kind of like the Monster Hunter aspect of Bloodstone, Elsa Bloodstone, but I'm reading it. I just couldn't get into it, didn't care, didn't read the whole thing. Moving on, next we have Darkhawk, issue number 5 by Kyle Higgins. He's joined by Juanan Ramirez and Eric Arciniega. So the thing about this, if I explain the book, it's going to sound like, yo, that's a really awesome book because it's flashy. You have big, epic superhero type battles. You have a really deep narrative with the main character, this basketball star who gets diagnosed with MS, and he's not sure how his team is going to react. Is he going to be able to still be able to play? He becomes Darkhawk. And there's a lot of family situations with him and his brother and these local gangs. You know, it sounds good. I don't know. I like the book, but it's just not my favorite, I guess. Speaking of not my favorite, we're on to Amazing Spider-Man issue 85. Who is this one by? Ziegler, Medina, and Grutengern. So, a lot of Doc Ock stuff happening this week and in Amazing Spider-Man in general. Brutal battle between Ben Reilly and Doc Ock. It was a pretty good issue. The fight, you felt bad for Doc Ock. I'm like, geez, you're beating the hell out of this guy. And Doc Ock is the character that plants the doubt within the Beyond Corporation. So yeah, let's blow that Beyond Corporation out of here and get started on a new arc already. Love Ben Reilly, love Sensational Spider-Man. Haven't been loving this new run. I mentioned Devil's Reign before. I told you we had multiple Doc Ock things going on. So Superior 4 issue 1 from Devil's Reign. I guess it's a miniseries. Thompson, Tinto, and Mia. This is basically a Doc Ock multiverse issue, as you can see from the cover, and what we get in there is different versions of Otto Octavius in different universes where he became this superhero or that superhero. Think like Dark Knight's Metal. Like there's a version of every character that's Bruce Wayne. So that's kind of what this was like. I didn't need it. Next up, we have another Wastelanders one-shot, Black Widow. This is by Denite Welby and Iacono. I really like these Wastelander issues, and I dug this Black Widow one. This is Yelena. This is her giving us flashbacks of what life has been up until now to this post-apocalyptic world. Seeing her go up against this big lizard king. I don't know if that's supposed to be Kurt Connors or what, but I like Yelena. I liked reading this story, and they're all very kind of like sad and full of despair because, I mean, it all leads to this terrible future. The last one up for Marvel, we have XMen Legends, issue number 10. This is by Fabian Nicieza, Dan Jurgens, Scott Hanna, and Alex Sinclair. Throwback team for a throwback story that takes place in between, I don't know, one of those initial X Factor, Mr. Sinister fights. So it's a fun little one-shot. Mr. Sinister creating these clones, seeing how they're reacting. I don't even want to give too much more away, but it's definitely a great little one-shot that makes it feel like vintage X Factor X-Men books. with all the issues so far. All right, guys, moving on over to Image with Department of Truth, issue number 15. This is by Tiny and Romero and Bidikar. Dug this issue, The Mothman. I really like the kind of format that they told this story in. Like, you're reading through files and reading conversations behind agents in the Department of Truth, tying it into like the Men in Black conspiracies and how, just stretching it a little further on how troublesome it could be that if the masses believe in something, they could literally conjure it. And what happens when those conjured beings have intent? Because normally they're not even real, right? They're just what you think they would do. But what if they start, thinking on their own? Very interesting stuff, man. It's a killer series. Another one from Chip Zdarsky. We're on to Stillwater, issue number 12. He's joined by Ramon K. Perez and Mike Spicer. So I really like the concepts and ideas of Stillwater. I think the problem is that I don't really have enough, I don't care enough about the main characters in the cast. In this issue, they do expand on the mythos of Stillwater and what it means to be able to live forever within the city and how the city lines could affect it. So I'm interested in that. I'm not resonating with any of the main cast. Sticking with Image, we have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 3, Boston Rosenberg. They're joined by Oatsman Alehu. Finally starting to get this one a little bit. I've been sticking with it. I don't know, man. It's cryptic. They're unraveling what the hell is actually going on issue by issue. They don't tell you everything up front. We know we're in the future. It's kind of at least a generation or two in the future because kids don't even understand how a VCR works. They just bang on it to try to get it to work and stuff. Getting more glimpses of these strangers and what they could actually be. And just starting to piece together this world. I think they kind of got me on this. Then we're on to a new number 1, The Scorch. This is part of the Spawn universe. Todd McFarlane. I'm not sure who wrote on this one. Now, here's the thing. All the Spawn books have been great. The only problem is with Scorched, with Spawn, with King Spawn, it's hard to tell what's what. They're all kind of the same. Now, Gunslinger Spawn feels like its own thing. It's like in its own little story, but everything else is mixed together, and that's what this is as well. This is essentially Todd's Spawn Avengers, the team-up book. And you got the Omega Spawn stuff, or the Plague Spawn, I should say. It's okay. Nobody trusts Al Simmons. Spawn's kind of a dick, and we're all talking about it. I'm enjoying everything that's going on with Spawn. I would like to see some more uniqueness for each title, I would say. And the last one from Image, we have Reign number 1. This is by Joe Hill, David M. Boer, Zoe Thorgood, and Chris O'Halloran. So when I read this, I text my boy Robbie right away. I'm like, yo, don't skip this one. Because sometimes, a new number 1 comes out, maybe the cover doesn't grab you, maybe you flip through it, doesn't grab you right away. But I had to tell Robbie, yo, read this one. I dug this one. And it kind of throws you for a loop. It starts off, you think it's like this relationship-heavy book about these women, this and that, but it has like this huge twist at the end that turns this into a horror story. Something coming from the rain. I don't want to spoil it. Read this book. It's a number 1. Jump into it. It almost got pick of the week. And then we got one from Dynamite Entertainment. They have a new number 1. Hell, Sonia number 1. Hell yeah. Lucio Perillo cover here. Amazing. So Hell Sonia is what I like in comics. It's got the Spawn vibe, whereas it's like a big heaven and hell type of story. Hell's gonna break free, and they have actually some mythos built within this story on what Hell's purpose is and how it kind of burns souls in order to keep reality going. So interesting stuff, and it's also a multiverse story. So there's Red Sonia, you got Blue Sonia, Gold Sonia. There's these different Sonias from different multiverses. It's dope. And man, again, can we appreciate the hell out of this cover? Moving on to DC, guys. And speaking of great covers, Detective Comics issue 1048 by Tamaki, Reyes, Miki, and Anderson. This cover is amazing. I thought this was a cosplay cover for a second. But yeah, man, this is an amazing cover. And this storyline is basically just introducing us to new characters within Arkham Asylum, the new asylum. And then you have regular people in there. And how does it feel to be locked in there with Joker? And interesting concepts, a little bit of a slow issue, not gonna lie. It's kind of more of a build-up. The backup House of Wayne was actually really dope. Going back to an earlier time when an early Batman, him interacting with Alfred really still not on board with everything and kind of downplaying the fact that he's fighting this guy in clown makeup. So it's before Joker was a huge threat, or right when he became a threat, actually. But anyway, I still dig Detective. I love Tamaki's writing on here. And you gotta love that cover. Speaking of the Joker, issue 11 of the Joker. This is also by James Tynion IV. Kevin Coley, Smith, and Prianto has a Punchline backup story. I don't get this series. I mean, it's so weird that it's an ongoing. It feels like it should have been a miniseries, one and done. It's a Joker book, but it's about Gordon. This one, it just kind of like ties in with Texas Chainsaw Massacre somehow. Like, what the hell? What is this even about? And how is it going? The punchline back up. Nothing's moving forward. Nothing's happening. All right, guys, now on to my pick of the week. Easily pick of the week, man. Robin and Batman, issue 3 of 3. Jeff Lemire, joined by Wynn. What a heartfelt story about an early Robin, an early Dick Grayson, and dealing with Bruce Wayne and having this brutal battle with Croc that ties into his origin and his family at the carnival. That watercolor style, which really complements Jeff Lemire's writing. That's kind of the type of artist Jeff Lemire is as well. I loved it, man. They're kind of a little bit oversized, but they flow so well. I'm really just sad that this is a 3-issue series, one and done. Love this. Give us more deep dives and retelling these older stories that we're able to do with a little bit more emotion now. I mean, comics have come so far from the Golden Age and Silver Age. But those are the new comics for this week. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments below. Let me know your pick of the week, and stay minty fresh. Peace.